It's like, oh, I'm feeling really stressed. I'm feeling really disappointed. And it's, all of these things made me feel this way with all of this detail. But that doesn't help if I'm not actually releasing it out.
Yeah, letting it out of your soul.
Letting it out of your soul, but then honestly letting it go.
Yeah, just letting it go.
Yeah, so
how would you describe emotions? Hello, Meow Meows. Thank you for your time today.
What we plan to focus on within our second series, Ego Death, is diving inward through our own personal transformations.
Speaking about feeling our emotions, expressing them appropriately, and not throwing them under the rug.
Dismantling our egos and inner narratives, recognizing our fear and shame.
Exploring our triggers, what they mean, and choosing the type of emotional energy we want to live with.
Alrighty, Meow Meows, let's dive inward.
Hi, Kat.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing better. I did cry this morning all over the carpet. You were there for it.
It was beautiful.
Thank you for saying that. But I think it was necessary, as we both know, and appropriate because today is feeling it out and releasing it out.
Lots of fun things. lots and lots of fun things.
It can be very, very difficult to show up to your emotions. It can be very difficult to feel them and to allow yourself to release them out. But
they exist, so we must.
So
what is feeling it out and what is releasing it out?
That's such a good question. I know that I've really struggled to release it out. And you've expressed that you've had trouble feeling it out.
Yes, I've always, for many years of my life, I have definitely had a hard time finding the right words to express what I'm feeling. So I don't know what the fuck I'm feeling. So never mind. Whatever.
Yeah, how could I even release it out? Well, and I think I have the words and I can really dive into the emotions. Like, oh, I'm feeling really stressed. I'm feeling really disappointed. And it's, all of these things made me feel this way with all of this detail. But that doesn't help if I'm not actually releasing it out.
Yeah, letting it out of your soul.
Letting it out of your soul, but then honestly letting it go.
Yeah, just letting it go.
Yeah, so
how would you describe emotions?
So a big part of today is going to be based on Emotional Agility by Susan David. She just fucking killed it. She just honestly wrote a damn book that just fucking slayed. It's called Emotional Agility. And I think that we consider emotions unimportant or we consider them inconvenient. And they're not unimportant. Emotions contain signposts to the things that we value. They show us where we need to pay attention. And she describes emotions as data. And I just love the idea of that because there's so much information in them. There's so much information
ridiculous.
In them.
They all come from everywhere and throughout. So I love the fact that she says they're data because it's like a science. I love science.
And you should consider it as a science because she also says emotions are data, they're not directives. So it doesn't mean that they control you. We are not our emotions. We are in control of them. Well, I shouldn't say we're in control of our emotions, but just really clarifying that we are not our emotions and they do not control us. So, and then another thing is thinking about those really hard emotions, those really difficult emotions that you don't want to dive into, that you don't want to experience. And difficult emotions are a necessary part of life. Uncomfortable feelings are part of the contract that we sign of existing.
Yeah, it is.
So I know that just finding her and exploring her work has been tremendously important for me because I hadn't been considering my emotions. I hadn't been treating them as data or as important or, you know, as any part of me. I kept trying to stuff them down and I kept trying to ignore them or vomit them rather than releasing them. I'd just be like, ugh, get out of me. Ugh.
No more. I don't want you. But,
yeah, and I don't want you at all.
Why? What are some consequences of ignoring emotions?
Well, Kyla, what do you think are some consequences that you've experienced when ignoring emotions? What does it feel like for you?
In the past, typically when it was difficult, I would just, especially if I didn't know how to fucking describe it, because I've struggled with that, I would just push it down. Just literally go,
get down there.
I don't want you.
Get down there. We hate you.
You don't exist. Whatever. I'm going to keep going with my life.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, definitely doesn't help because it just stays with you.
I've done that so many times. And the consequence of ignoring emotions is that you hold on to it. They're held rather than they're released.
They're festering.
They're festering. And I mean, they become embedded in you and you take them with you for the rest of your life.
You're not able to, you take them with you for the rest of your life or for however long.
Until you're ready to release it.
And it's going to be damn hard releasing if they've been with you for years.
For years.
It's a little difficult to unravel.
It is, but consider what emotions are. Emotions are energy in motion.
Everything's a constant change, and so are your emotions.
Well, and the only guarantee of life is change. Change is the only thing that remains constant, which I'm sure we've all heard before, but imagine not being able to show up to that.
Yeah.
Ouchie.
It's no fun.
I don't like it.
But they exist. The emotions, Susan David definitely did say is emotions are not good and they're not bad. Don't give the emotions labels.
Yeah.
The emotions, they exist. So we don't need to bring that false positivity into it.
Thank you for saying that.
But they exist. And they can be difficult. And they can be great. But they exist.
I love so much that you say that. And you've said that, you know, since I've met you, like they exist. And just that simple acknowledgement of they exist. This exists.
So let it be.
It's present. Yeah. Let it be and let it go.
And it's okay, meow.
All right. So how do we start to identify what emotions we are feeling? How do we find the right words to describe maybe, like, you know, the first part of feeling it out and releasing it out?
Yeah, I mean, so kind of what I've been explaining to you lately is we've been both trying to find out is there's that one huge like core emotion.
The emotion you can't describe.
The emotion you can't fucking describe. But you're still describing it. But they're all of the extra little words that are kind of floating around that core thought or that core emotion. So it could be like those like minor emotions. So like when you're stressed, tired, or when you're anxious. Okay. Well, what's making you feel that way? Then that's when you start finding those deeper, more descriptive feelings of, oh, I'm disappointed. I feel unseen.
Wow.
I think something you expressed to me this morning is you felt rejected.
I did. And what was interesting too is I kept saying it's okay. And and Kyla goes, And because I know where the other person stands, you know, you kind of try and minimize the way you felt in reaction to that. You try and minimize the feelings that you're experiencing because you know that it wasn't their intention. It doesn't change the fact that they exist and this feeling is there.
Do you think that's another way to describe that would be almost making an excuse Or
I think you could say that. I think people might have different terms of what making an excuse is and what
I
it
agree,
looks like.
yes.
But I might use the term like justify.
Thank you. I was like, what the fuck am I thinking?
Well, and I mean, because it's just like when we had the conversation with your mom about forgiveness, and she really did not like the word forgiveness,
No, and
but
that's okay.
which is totally fine. But people have different terms that they use.
Yes.
And so rather than using the term making an excuse, which is totally fair, and I wouldn't deny that that's
what it sounds like.
what it sounds like,
But again,
justification
yes.
to minimize my emotions.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Now, what about physically feeling the emotions?
Well, so when it comes to trying to describe your emotions, because it can be very difficult, you might just say, I'm feeling really sad, or I'm feeling really anxious, but what does that actually look like? What if you feeling really sad is really you just feeling unseen, unappreciated, unloved, but you don't have those words yet? So I always recommend starting with describing the feeling in as much physical sensation as possible. So let's say you're really stressed out, and let's say you're stressed out at work and you're doing 4 different things, and you can just feel yourself getting really tight.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm starting to see that my body is getting really tight. My heart is beating a little bit faster. My face feels an amount of stress and weight on it, and I can feel a tension in my forehead. You can know all of these physical sensations, or imagine sadness, and it's like, I feel a pit in my stomach. I feel a hurt in my heart. And so I go through all the physical sensations I'm feeling first, and then I go to those minor emotions that you mentioned, where it's like, I'm feeling stressed, And then once you dive just a little bit deeper, and if you have the space and time to do so,
yes,
you can start finding those complex emotions of, I'm really disappointed, or I'm really feeling rejected, or I really didn't feel appreciated earlier, and it made me feel small and unseen.
Wow.
And while all of that's powerful, it doesn't mean the emotion goes away.
No, it definitely doesn't.
That is the definition of you showing up to your emotions. And it's, I think, the definition of emotional agility. She compares emotional agility to emotional rigidity. Like the rigid way that we deal with emotions, like just be positive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Just ignore it, or, you have to be happy. And emotional agility, however, is the ability to be with your emotions with curiosity, compassion, and courage to show up to those difficult feelings.
It's beautiful. Beautifully expressed.
Thank you. So what's your experience with trying to practice this?
Emotions. They're so much fun. They've definitely been not fun to go through and deal with growing up. Only within the last year and a half, I've made the conscious choice that I want to dive inward, and I want to know how to describe emotions, because I've had such a damn hard time finding the freaking right words. Like how do I find the right words? I had one parent that didn't show any emotions, and then another parent that recognized that other parent wasn't showing any emotions, and that parent now needed to try to pull every emotion out of me. But I didn't know how. I didn't even know what I was feeling or what I was thinking. So grateful for COVID and for quarantine. I know not every person had that experience, but damn, the time that I had. The time that I had to be able to recognize the emotions and recognize the time that I was able to have with myself.
That's so...
I definitely wanted to be able to express how to find the right words for others to fully understand what I was feeling, because I've always felt I wasn't able to do that. And
so that you could be a better communicator, or
yes. So I could be a better communicator for them, but also for me, because I didn't know what I was feeling, because I had all of those bubbly words of stressed, sad, whatever, but I wanted to find that disappointed and that unseen and that rejected words.
So the complex emotions.
Yes, my complex, not the little babies.
Yeah.
So I definitely, me being able to have this time, I was able to recognize that this is a huge step for forgiveness. To be able to forgive maybe other people or for myself. I took my time like doing different breathing and meditation practices to be able to get into the emotions, and I would just be doing the simplest things. And I know other people have this too, is when you're, I don't know, you've got some like an emotion or a situation from the past that randomly pops in your brain, and you can literally play through the emotion, and you're like, why am I thinking about this? Why the fuck am I thinking about this? And then I started really going into those feelings of, okay, hold on. Typically in the past, I would
just stuff it down.
Yeah, I would have just, when I would think about that, I'd be like, okay, that happened in my past. I don't really give a shit, whatever. And then I would just throw it out the window. But it would just come back into me later on for another time.
Well, literally, it's like you're pushing it on the back of your shoulder.
Yes.
And it's like, all right, I'll stay here now.
Exactly. And so this year, I had that happen a lot. And I loved it because I was able to identify what I needed to do with those situations. So I had I had a situation that popped up in my brain while I was just doing some whatever things, and I just sat with it for a second. I held it. I said, okay, clearly this came into my brain for a reason. Why am I thinking about this? How did I feel when that situation happened?
God, that's really brave of you.
It was very terrifying. Lots of cries. It was great. Lots of cries. I cried so much, but it felt damn good. And so then I would ask, okay, what do I need to do with this situation? And a lot of it was forgiving myself for how I reacted in the situation, or I would forgive the other person in the situation. And then I would let it go.
Yeah.
And I would release it. And I would say, thank you for this situation, because I am now grown through this situation. And I felt free. I felt light after I emotionally and physically breathed through the emotion and through the situation and just released it. I felt so free. I felt so good.
And I think you mentioned forgiveness, and I think forgiveness is one of the key points of how you actually release emotions. And what I've learned from you too is forgiving yourself, forgiving the feeling, forgiving that you're experiencing the feeling is not the same as acknowledging that it's there.
Nope.
Not at all.
You can acknowledge a cookie.
And not eat the cookie?
And not eat the cookie. But I don't know, that's not a good example.
I think it's a great example.
Maybe it is. Okay, so yes, you can acknowledge that a cookie's there, but if someone took the cookie and ate it in front of you, well, you can forgive that it's now gone. I don't know why that does not make sense to my brain.
Okay, it doesn't really make sense to my brain either, but it was a good try.
It
was a good try, Kyla.
We can acknowledge that try. I forgive
We did
myself.
not make a metaphor pre-recording.
No,
I
forgive myself for trying.
I don't need to forgive you for trying. I thought it was adorable. Very good.
I'm glad that worked. So Kat, do you have any experience with releasing it out that you've been working through? Because I know that's been something difficult for you.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, since we've met, you've known that this has been the path that I'm on, the diving inward. And I think I've practiced for a really long time showing up to my emotions. Even before I read Emotional Agility, I just found a lot of comfort in really being honest with how I was feeling, especially with myself. But the releasing it out has always been kind of really troublesome for me. And I think it has to do with being present. And I still work on my mindfulness journey. I still work on holding space for myself. And I'm so go, 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 go. So it works easier for me in my day to just stick it on down, scrunch it on down in there, and then go about my day. But even this morning, to go through all of the emotions, to physically, verbally speak it out, cry it out, and then I think I really released it out because I said it's okay that I'm feeling this way. I forgive myself for feeling this way. I forgive the other person for what they triggered in me. And then we shook our shit out.
Literally. Speaking of which, so what are some different ways to practice releasing it out?
I think the number one thing is recognizing you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the one experiencing your thoughts and emotions.
Say it again.
That little voice inside your head, and I know we touched on this last episode, but it's so important to get into your consciousness that you, the true essence of you, never thinks. It never feels. It just experiences what your consciousness is experiencing through this vessel. So when you have that little voice in your head, holy fucking shit, that was so rude of him, or that was so rude of her. Why would she do that to me? And the audacity. And you just say, I think that made me angry. Why am I feeling so angry right now? I think I felt disrespected by that. And when you take that step back, the very first thing you can do to practice emotional agility is to see, hey, that thought, that emotion, that's not me. So something that Susan touches on is saying, don't call yourself the emotion. Don't say, I am angry. Say, I am noticing the thoughts and the feelings of anger. I'm noticing that I'm starting to get frustrated. And especially when you can get into the verbiage of, I'm noticing I'm starting to get frustrated. That is something I'm practicing every single day.
It's so good. It completely changes your manner of thinking and what you're diving into with that.
I think it's kind of like, and I know we've touched on it, but meditation.
That's okay. Yes, all of the meditation.
Very helpful. And I mean, it could be meditation and, practicing an actual guided meditation, or honestly just practicing mindfulness.
And it's just recognizing, and honestly, I mean, it can be doing the things that you love. I like to do my meditation and breathing when I'm gardening, or when I'm digging a hole in my ground because I'm building a fire pit, or going on a bike ride. And it's just recognizing, oh, I am here. I'm here in this moment. And if there are any emotions in any way, shape, or form that seem strong or may have triggered me, well,
this is a perfect opportunity to show up to that.
Let me feel that.
Yeah.
And ask myself, where does it come from? Another one of my favorites, what you said earlier, is shaking your shit. So just literally shake it out. You take your hand, you start with your hands, and you just kind of like let them be like loosey goosey, and you shake, 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 shake. You just kind of let it creep all the way up your arms and your elbows and
you shake your arms,
and then
your
shoulders,
shake your hips,
and then
you shake your waist, and
your
you
feet.
shake your butt, and you shake your legs, and it feels so fucking good.
And then you just start laughing because you're being freaking goofy, and so you're just having fun at that point, just like letting it out and feeding what is it? Is it your endorphins?
Maybe.
Or is it the dopamine?
It's probably, maybe it's serotonin. I don't fucking know. It's probably all of them. You just feel really good.
Yes, you feel 1,000 times better. It doesn't fix it, but it helps you feel better.
Doing a state change like that too, from going from like pitiful sadness to laughing and letting yourself have the just thrill of laughing so hard, a big smile on your face. That state change, it can switch everything in your brain. You literally shift yourself into a reality, into a mentality that kind of allows you to work with that emotion a little bit better. So I always recommend shaking your shit after you've cried it out, of course.
Yes. So what are some other tools you've incorporated into your life?
So we're both huge advocates of journaling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are huge journalers.
Love it.
And I try not to journal when I'm experiencing the emotion in the moment. But if I need to, then I do. But I always journal from my higher awareness of I really wasn't living in my future reality today. I really wasn't in my true power today. I'm separate from the experiences that I want in the world. And just noticing it so that I'm not letting myself be engulfed by it. But more importantly, so that when I revisit that journal passage, I can really connect with it because I know it was coming from my higher self observing the thoughts and the emotions. So journaling is great. I just don't recommend journaling or sitting on an emotion too long.
You have to release it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the only reason that I say keep it kind of small. You know, don't write 3 paragraphs about what pissed you off today.
I mean, if you need to.
If
then
you
that's
need
what you do.
to, you know what? And wherever you are at in your journey, please don't let me tell you how to release out your own emotions.
No. If someone needs 3 pages of what made them so mad or angry or whatever it may be.
But then maybe go back with a highlighter and write out those really difficult words.
Yes. Really, yeah. And then you're able to maybe dig in a little deeper of, okay, what really brought this out?
Absolutely.
You've told me about this lovely app.
Yes.
Can you please share more? Because I've died for it.
It's very cute. So it's called the Universe of Emotions. This guy who developed the app made a TED Talk about it. And so that's how I found this app. And he says, you know, we have close to, it's like 20 emotions, 20 or 30 emotions that we can list off the top of our head. There are like 35,000 emotions. It's insane. And so he's like, how can we work on ourselves if we don't even know what we're feeling? And so they developed this app called the Universe of Emotions, where let's say, I think I'm feeling sad. Like I'm feeling sad, but that doesn't tell me anything. I have no idea what sad tells me.
It's the floating word.
Yeah, it's a floating word. So they have the universe broken down into 4 different quadrants, and there's positive active emotions, positive inactive emotions, negative active emotions, negative inactive emotions. So you can click on sadness, but sadness has a bunch of surrounding planets. So each emotion is its own planet. And then for some bigger emotion, like sadness would have its own orbit. It would have its own solar system. So it would be like a sun, you know? And so around sadness, you have melancholy or tired or depressed. By doing that, you can literally track your emotions day to day. You can say, I don't know how I'm feeling. Let me take 5 minutes and just explore this section of the universe of emotions. If you really, really struggle with verbiage and what words am I even looking for as I try and describe this fucking emotion, Universe of Emotions, it will also be linked below.
Yes.
And okay, and then the final thing that I want to say of what can help you begin to feel it out and release it out is having a trusted friend, a trusted person in your life that you can say, this is an experience that I am experiencing. This is how I'm feeling about it. And I say a trusted friend because it really has to be someone you trust, not to dive into the circumstance or try and exacerbate the drama, but someone who really will just hold space for you and what you're feeling and say fuck that shit to all the other details. Like I can work through emotionally how it's making me feel because I know that you won't feed the circumstance. You'll only hold space for what I need, which is diving inward.
Meow.
Meow.
I love you.
Thanks.
So what are some difficult things that might pop up when these different emotions, or when we're feeling it out and releasing it out?
I think we said it before we started recording, but the emotions that you weren't expecting to feel.
Oh yeah, duh.
So
Emotions
like
we weren't
triggers.
expecting. Yes.
And when triggers pop up, you weren't expecting to be triggered today.
No.
You certainly weren't. So you're going to have to bring yourself back down from a heightened emotion. And so that's gonna be really hard.
Definitely recognize that any emotion or anything that you're going through to work through is gonna be fucking hard.
Yeah.
Life isn't easy, so why would emotions be easy? Hello?
Hello. It definitely gets easier, but ouch, does it still fucking hurt? I don't care how aware you are. I don't care how present you are. I don't care how in love with yourself you are. This is hard. This is really hard. But it's so rewarding.
You feel so much better after and through it.
Another thing that is going to pop up is the circumstances you can't control. So regardless of the circumstances, something's going to happen that is outside of your control, and it's going to threaten the emotional stability that you were working with. And it happens.
Yeah.
That's life.
There's only so much you can do, but I mean, these circumstances happen for you to learn.
I really treat all circumstances as an opportunity to grow.
It's amazing. Even if it's damn hard, okay, well, I'm going to learn something from this. Even if I don't know it right now, I'll know it. I'll feel it. Yeah, feeling it out and releasing out.
I love being on this journey with you.
No, I love being on this journey with you. It's a rough one. And
It is, but
I'm excited to get into our triggers next week.
Exactly.
Oh, God. I hope you're ready.
So next week will be, what did that trigger? Playing the I Wonder game. And we're so excited to share 1 to 2 to 3 triggers with all of you.
And why they popped up and how they affect us and so many fucking things.
They exist.
They're alive.
They exist.
It's
so
okay.
we'll show up to those too.
It will be so good. I'm ready for the rest of the day to be so lovely. It's a tad cold, but it's okay.
Yes. And I feel ready because I had a beautiful release this morning. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, Meows, I hope you have a perfect rest of your day, and we will see you soon.
Bye, Meows.
Bye-bye. Alrighty, you lovely Meows. We love you deeply, and we thank you dearly for joining us in our journey today.
Subscribe to the 6AM Meow Meows to get notifications for future episodes. If you wish for more meows in your life, you can connect with us on Instagram for questions to ask yourself, writing prompts, as well as tips and tricks related to today's episode. And, of course, cats.
If you're more of a visual person, find us on YouTube for the video version of these podcasts. Or you can join the conversation on Facebook. Share what you think, what you learned, or something you would like to add to our discussions.
To get in touch with us, or if you have any questions, email us at the 6am meow at gmail.com.
And all of these links will be listed below, so just scroll on down to get connected.
As always, we are learning through this journey, so your comments and perspectives are a fundamental part in helping us gain understanding and shifting our current realities.
Again, thank you for your time, and have a perfect rest of your day. Goodbye, beautiful Meow Meows.
Goodbye!